Okay. Have you ever heard of a brand that's like so exclusive, you basically can't find it anywhere? No ads, no big social media push, nothing. Just whispers. And somehow it builds this massive, almost fanatical following. Makes you wonder, how on earth did they do that today? Well, today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. We're talking about Gelato NYC. It's this underground brand, famously described as, and I quote, ice cream za for members only. And just so we're clear, za here, it's slang for really high quality cannabis. So think luxury, artisanal cannabis edibles, but like gelato.
Yeah, and we're going to be digging into some excerpts from this piece called Gelato NYC, Underground Gelato Pressure and Cult Brand by Nug Notes. Our whole mission here, really, is to unpack how this brand managed to get this, well, cult status and this huge demand all through these really unconventional, almost counterintuitive methods.
It really is a paradox, isn't it? I mean, a brand that thrives on being secret, super exclusive, in a world where everyone, every brand is constantly, sharing everything. So, okay, let's get into it. How do you actually build that kind of buzz, that intense desire, when your entire game plan is basically be unfindable? What's the secret there?
Well, what's really interesting is that Gelato NYC, they genuinely started with what the source calls cold starts only,
Mm-hmm.
which means, yeah, zero traditional marketing, no public splash at all.
Mm-hmm.
It apparently started in the Bronx, crafted up in Kingsbridge,
Mm.
and began as just this whispered name,
Yeah.
passed around in the underground NYC sesh scene.
Right, these sort of informal meetups where people share and trade cannabis products.
Exactly. It was basically like an ice cream truck, but, on wheels. Packed with what they called straight gelato pressure, high-quality stuff, no storefront, no ads, nothing, just purely word of word of mouth within that very specific community.
And then their first drop, this unique thing, a cold curing gelato pheno called Motion. A pheno being like a specific strain, right? Bred for certain qualities.
Precisely. And that first drop sold out in hours. The source says boxes lit up, quite literally, and the motion was real.
Whoa, lit up like LED lights, maybe?
Seems like it, yeah. Suggests the packaging itself was part of the whole experience from day one. And the demand was just immediate. It's pretty amazing they got that initial pull without any, typical marketing noise.
So what do you think was really critical right at the start, beyond just the word of mouth?
Well, the product had to be good, obviously, but they immediately set the standard. If it ain't art, it ain't gelato.
Mm.
This commitment, this idea that every single eight, the standard measure, had to be a flex, visually, tactically. They had these LED lit jars you mentioned, candy-style menus, even something called Tic Tac pre-roll.
Tic Tac pre-rolls, like tiny little joints packaged like Tic Tacs.
Sounds like it, yeah. Small, discreet, cleverly packaged. The message was super clear. They weren't interested in Mylars and mids-like generic bags and just okay product. They were there to pull up proper, meaning show up with something exceptional, high-end, meticulously crafted. It really elevated the whole thing from just, buying something to having a curated experience.
Okay, that focus on art and the whole presentation, that's clearly a massive piece of the puzzle. Makes every touch point feel special. But maybe the most intriguing part is this whole members only no backdoor thing. Their Instagram, locked, the menu, gated. Every post just says, my one and only page. What does that kind of extreme exclusivity actually do to people psychologically? And how do they even control who gets in?
Well, it creates this huge desire, right, through scarcity and perceived value. By being so locked down, any fake pages trying to copy them just folded fast, as the source puts it. They couldn't replicate the real deal, the access. And yeah, their main Instagram did eventually get verified, the blue check. But the real action, the communication, the drops that happened in private Telegram channels. And apparently those channels were just flooded with people trying to get in.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was made very clear only real ones got the key. That fosters this really powerful sense of belonging, of privilege for the people who are inside. So it's not just about keeping people out. It's about building this tight community, this feeling that you've earned something special.
That makes sense. But okay, how do you actually manage that? Control the buzz and the distribution for a brand that's meant to be hard to find? Doesn't being too secret risk just fading away, especially when you're new? The source mentions their distribution was handled like super discreetly through this network of, what was it? High Balance Distro, High Flicks, Rent Smokers, and Nika's Top
Big
Plus.
Five.
That sounds incredibly underground.
Oh, absolutely. It was totally underground. Instead of aiming for wide reach, they focused on creating intense desire within a smaller, really dedicated group. Their distribution strategy basically tapped into this exclusive trusted network. Think of it like tiers. You had high balance distro, probably distributors handling big volumes, then high flicks and rent smokers, maybe specific types of loyal customers or smaller dealers. It's a bit cryptic. And then dealing with Nikek's top plug. I mean, that's going right to the most connected, most trusted sources deep in that network.
So really, really deep connections.
Exactly. It was a true if you know scenario. And if you didn't know, well, then you were just, quote, watching from outside the truck. It just reinforces that idea of earned access. And this controlled distribution, it kept the brand exclusive, prevented the mystique from getting watered down.
That's a huge risk, though. But yeah, clearly it worked for them. And this whole Zaz's design idea, it went beyond just the cannabis itself, right? The branding was so clean, the source says you'd think it came out of SoHo. They did collabs like Mr. and Mrs. Glitch, puzzle boxes, hidden menus. How important was that consistent, high-end look in making people want it, even before they tried it?
Oh, it was crucial, paramount. Every single drop, every release was designed almost like a collectible, not just something you consume. All that attention to detail, the packaging, the branding, even how they revealed the product, it turned buying it into an event. It really hammered home their commitment to art in everything they did. And that made the whole interaction feel super high-end, curated. It reinforced the idea that this was unique, worth hunting down, played right into that members-only appeal.
Yeah, what started as just a summer thing really became, as the source says, curbside to cult classic. And they make it clear, not for the camera, not for clout, just gas, cold packed and carefully handed off to whoever earned it. Gas. Again, slang for top-tier cannabis. That idea of earning it, that seems absolutely central. It's about making the customer feel they achieved something.
Exactly right. Gelato NYC basically proved you don't need all the usual stuff, the big marketing machine, the huge product lines. They showed, quote, you don't need 50 SKUs or a license to build a brand, which is pretty provocative. Instead, they boiled it down to the essentials: pressure, packaging, and some ice cream energy.
Yeah.
Meaning a top-quality product, amazing presentation, and this dynamic kind of fun, engaging vibe. And, this knowledge, these lessons, they're most valuable when you think about how to apply them elsewhere. How could these unconventional ideas work in other fields, services, even just building a personal brand in this super noisy world?
Right. So what does this all mean for you listening? Whether you're building something yourself, trying to cut through the noise, or maybe you're just fascinated by what makes something truly desirable. Gelato NYC just completely flipped the script on marketing. They proved that sometimes, yeah, less really is more. And that real desire, intense desire, can be fueled not by being everywhere, but by scarcity, by earned access, and by this just undeniable commitment to quality and, well, art.
It definitely brings up a big question for today, doesn't it? In a world that's just saturated with information, with choices everywhere you look, does real value, real authenticity maybe now lie in the things that are hidden, the curated,
Yeah.
the members-only experiences?
Yeah, the source wraps it up with this really powerful line. It says, real drops, real locks, real motion, we the truck, you the line. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What does it actually take for a brand to make you feel like you've truly burned access? And what does that kind of exclusivity mean for the future, for cult brands, for customer loyalty, for what we value?